So Trump has now taken two shots to the face, one physical and one theoretical, which, if you think about it, still puts him well behind Kamala.
And the donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Having Trump not only have had the codes, but now having the classified information for Americans and being able to put that out and share it should be terrifying to all Americans, and he needs to be stopped.
Ryan Ruth was the suspect in an alleged assassination attempt on former President Trump. I immediately recognized the name because I had been in touch with Ryan Ruth for over a year in the early stages of the war in Ukraine.
He probably was spurred on by much of the political diatribes that are going on these days, talking about Trump equating him to Hitler and things like that.
Now, let's not take aim and blow this all out of proportion, though. 2 bullets is still like 20 less than the ABC moderators dove in front of to protect Kamala Harris. Say what you will about ABC's bias. I thought Trump's podium being suspended over a live velociraptor pen was a nice touch. Anyone else afflicted with the mildest case of deja vu over the last weekend? No, not the assassination attempt itself. That was about as visionary as predicting a Las Vegas nickel slot will have a fat lady parked in front of it. I mean, after debate number 1, Biden bit the big one. Now, the human brain's a curious clump of chewing gum, and so some people might misremember that the preschooler sniffing president dropped out immediately after, but I'm afraid that's fallacious. What happened next is that Biden inexplicably, and in retrospect somewhat suspiciously, waited a beat, insisting he would not drop out no matter what for a week or more, until moon-faced cuckold Thomas Crooks gave Trump a .22 caliber ear piercing, only after which did Biden trip and fall out of the race. Mystifying timing, that. And here we sit stymied at another attempt to subvert democracy that, unlike January 6th, involves loaded weaponry in lieu of Walmart cocktail flags. And once again, it's in the shadow of a debate in which Kamala was crushed. Sorry, bread tubers and black-pilled bedwetters. I covered the event live, blow for blow, one-liner for one-liner. Watch it. The only memorable lines? Trump, the one who perpetually pinned down the last word of every exchange? Trump.
I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Post-debate optics victory? Well, let's take a look at the Kilimanjaran spike in Google searches for Haiti refugees cooking up catatouille and consult the oracle of the internets for the answer, shall we? He won! Wank shafts, not in sweeping historic fashion as with the Biden debate, but folks, we witnessed an unprecedented event that day. One of the 5 or less times in American history that a presidential debate was not only undeniable, but consequential and decisive. Adjust your pacemakers, because to the bevy of Bolsheviks and Fuentes fagaloons perpetually shrieking the words, "Debate me, dickhead," this'll come off as a bit of a cardiac shock. 99% of the time, debates don't decide dick. One shithead shouts his tired talking points, while the shithead opposite does likewise. The Corey Haim fan clubs for both beat their chests and insist their side emerge victorious, and the needle moves not an angstrom. Debates are bullshit. The moon isn't made of cheese and Bambi's mom dies at the end. Sorry you had to find out this way, Littlefoot. But there's another through line that gives me more flashbacks than 15 minutes of Family Guy. The artificial identity of the apparent perpetrator. Now, unlike Crooks, who took a piping hot minute to be identified in any way, we knew who this dude was practically before the FBI agents slammed the back door of the cover-up mobile and shipped him off for his debrief interrogation. But that is where the dissimilarities stopped. Hey, look! Another air quotes Republican who donated to ActBlue like a simp to a Twitch thought, and with a likelihood well eclipsing absolute certainty, voted Nikki Haley in the primaries. The whole time details rolled in, I was saying, hey, I've seen this one before, and it sucked then too. You know, like watching Matt Walsh. Unlike Crooks, who's somehow the only man his age with 0 social media footprint, would-be assassin Ryan Ralph, to put it bluntly, glows like Chernobyl tap water. From abortive attempts to recruit Afghan refugees to be grounded a human hamburger fighting for Ukraine, to a sizable social media presence, as well as numerous intelligence agency connections and at least one association with Rambo himself, Malcolm Nancy, this asshole was out of CIA Central casting. By the time his Twitter account was taken out, millions had already seen his final missive, which read, and I quote, "I will die for Ukraine." Did I mention this was all a matter of hours after NATO approved the use of long-range missile strikes against Russia? An obvious 11th hour attempt to provoke full-scale war before November 9th rolls around and interventionism finds itself in a sniper's crosshairs. Never mind on your radar, this dude was on your damn payroll. And if you can't see why the former Republican smokescreen is utilitarian, I suggest social media as your very next destination. For the ready-made media obfuscation of shot by two former Republicans has already lapped the earth twice at the equator. With its ever-allegiant sidekick, Trump deserves this due to his violent rhetoric, riding sidecar, of course. Oh, violent rhetoric? Weeks distant from Biden's bullseye remark and resultant apology, flanked by an endless procession of existential threat to democracy tweets and speeches. And hey, whatever happened to Tenacious D?
Don't miss Trump next time.
In the aftermath, the rock and roll comedy duo have stopped their concert tour indefinitely.
God, you tell Kathy Griffin to hold up one bloody decapitated head and suddenly people are getting ideas. Has the left's anti-Trump invective been violent? No, the ending of Bone Tomahawk was violent. If Ron Perlman's Trump tweets were a film, the rating would rack up more X's than Taylor Swift. And speaking of the perpetually squinting siren in question, talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of a twin perfect optics victory. Over the weekend, Trump authors arguably the most balls-out, boomerific tweet of his entire adult life, shrieking out in all caps, "I hate Taylor Swift," in one of the most flagrant, unforced errors of this entire election cycle. And in under an hour, Scott Glenn's lighting stand-in tries to dome the dawn and memory wipes the entire planet. Don't get me wrong, T-Money. Of course Taylor Swift sucks. She's a post-2000 pop star. She's constructed of suck. Without auto-tune, she sounds like Yoko with throat cancer. And despite being jammed down the esophagus of the entire planet for 15 years straight, she still sold 1/10 Michael Jackson's album total and drew a smaller crowd to rock in Rio than Iron Maiden. Shake it off, bitch. Yeah, we all know Taylor Swift is the fakest thing since Biden's teeth. But if you're gonna dunk on a bitch, at least put a little elbow grease into it. Example, what's the difference between a Taylor Swift video and a porno? Easy! The porno has a better soundtrack. Something! Yet in one unfired bullet, it was well out of the news cycle, and with good reason. It stinks like Amy Schumer's spread eagle in a sweat lodge. Look, one would-be Trump assassin being a former Republican whose only political donations are somehow for the left would be an eyebrow raiser in its own right. But to have a sequel this soon, with more CIA contacts than Dick Cheney's entire Rolodex, I'm going to put this as pleasantly and impassively as humanly possible. Tear these intelligence agencies down brick by brick and then raise the foundation of the building. Call in a Catholic priest, hold a statist asshole exorcism, and then salt the soil with Meghan McCain's tears in the aftermath. Look, it brings me to half-mast thinking about Elon being the baron of an all-new Department of Government Waste. But now I say scrap it. Make a Department of Wasting Government. But hey, look on the bright side. 3 more assassination attempts and we all get a free sub. I'm Razor Fist. Don't get captured in Godspeed.
Deja vu, dreams come true. I see my soul inside the room. Deja vu.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy
President
with a fake
Trump.
Russia investigation
We do have a lot
that
to get.
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?